do come in, everybody, and we're going to look at this object right here. It's blue and white porcelain. Now, when you look at this work of art, I wanted you to know this is a luxury item, right, from the Silk Road. So let you look at that while I am passing out some boards. Because the activity I have planned for our secondary school students is to engage them via drawing. Now, don't shy away when I say the word drawing, because it isn't a drawing to give me a representation of this object. It's a drawing to pull you into the object so that your eye and your hand are almost merging through a contour, and the slower one goes as you're drawing without looking down at your work of art, the more you will pick up. It's a 3-step short exercise, and we're going to have a wonderful conversation afterwards. So I'm going to ask if you take one and pass that along to everyone in our group, and I will get the pencils. In the meantime, please focus on the object. Move around. I want you to look at it from up close. And David Hockney, contemporary artist, fantastic, his works of art have been on display here. David Hockney said, with drawing, that it makes you see clearer and clearer and clearer still until your eyes ache. Take it in. Convince yourself that your eye is actually touching the contour. So a blind contour drawing is about a contour, which is the edge from wherever you're standing, and you're not looking down to your paper. You're doing it without looking at your paper. Do not worry about a representation. We're really wanting to explore and discover things about this work of art. So I'm going to time us with just a 1-minute contour, blind contour, and I'll draw with you. Try just to look at the object. All right, so step number 2, give you a couple of 2 minutes for this one. I want you to focus on the blue and white areas, and I want you to do a partial blind contour. In other words, try not to look down all the time, but as you're going along, if you feel the need for a certain placement on your sheet of whatever detail of the blue and white resonates with you, you may do so. So 2 minutes. Now the third step entails looking at the mounts. Now the mounts are the gilt bronze areas, and often called ormolu. And you can see them at the top, at the rim, at the handles, and at the foot. And I would love for you to come up close if you wish, but just to find a detail that strikes you, resonates with you, but also think about texture. So for this one, you are certainly allowed to pick your pencil up multiple times. So concentrating on a detail and texture of the gilt bronze mounts. 2 minutes. Now, to think about it, we did 3 different types of drawing to take back into the classroom. My first question is, what did you find?
Well, I didn't really hone in on the animal for the handles until I started to draw it, and then I started to get curious to see because I'm looking at it from the front, what kind of an animal is it?
Good.
And then I noticed a tail, and then I began to draw the tail.
Isn't that marvelous how that little tail wraps right around that greyhound? It's beautiful. And the face on one handle is looking at one direction, and the dog is looking on the other handle in the opposite direction. So I think they are splendid, and I think they're marvelous. They're greyhounds, and it's by Wolfgang Hauser, who was a Swissman living in London in this time period of 1680s. Now, what else did you all learn?
The blue and white area is really influenced by Chinese landscape painting in terms of the the use of the contours of nature, the fog, there's also the architecture seems like it's emulating some Chinese architecture.
And they're transposing it, the Japanese potters and the Chinese potters, onto a ceramic body. Now, we do not know, it is unknown if it is Chinese or Japanese. Chinese, of course, had kaolin back in 800. Japanese, and the Japanese had it in 1600. I love that you picked up the landscape. And you can see the rugged cliffs, right? And you can see it's a tree that goes like this, and it has those long needles. That is a pine tree. And the pine happens to be a symbol of scholars, if you think of this idea of steadfastness and tenacity. So it was really fun to walk through. And you see the buildings down below and the mountainscape. And I love that you said the misty nature, right? You get that blurred nature. Do you know how that happens? They paint on the body of the ceramic, the blue oxide. And when they put on the transparent glaze to later be fired, it bleeds. And that's where you get that very misty landscape effect.
As I'm contemplating it, I want to integrate the gold and the Japanese design, and it doesn't, you know.
No,
it's just
this.
So how is that?
It's the European aesthetic is what's happening here. That is the whole thing, right? Because it is no longer a basic lidded bowl. It has become a very luxurious item to be treasured as part of your collection. You would never, ever use this. So we've gone from a very simple shape that probably was functional, and then it comes somehow into England, and of course you have the ormolu that's added on. But I will tell you something, nothing has been drilled. I hope all of you saw the hinges. Things have been soldered and pinned.
I found myself frustrated.
Okay.
Because I want to learn more how to actually do the drawing part. I mean, I feel like I want more, like to really learn the skill.
And here's the thing to do. It's to keep coming in, sitting down, taking out a little sketch pad, and draw. That's how I've learned a lot, because there's so many questions that I have after I do a drawing, and then I can go back and research it a bit. But it really pulls you in. It's all about the students engaging and having questions and exploring and discovering, and that really is a great strategy, I think. And to front load it that way so that students are not inhibited or worried. You know, that takes the pressure off drawing, you know, for sure. Okay, thank you all so much.